Hi, everybody. And welcome to our webinar today. This is going to be interesting. We're all going to be learning a few things as we go along, not just about our new tools, but sort of how we're here, how we got here, and what we have. So today we have two new reports to talk about. One is in the Leopard BI suite, and this is going to be a past merger report. And the other is in Firmscape, and it is going to be an open and closed office report. And both of them is almost like putting a little time machine on, because we're going to, a lot of it has a lot of historical data. And along with historical data, there comes some caveats, right, about, when we built things and what we did. And we're actually asking one of our developers who's been with us a very long time to help us plot out a timeline so we know exactly what date we built what. And all of that will come into play when we start looking at some of these reports. So let's talk about the BI suite for just a minute. We've been adding some pretty incredible reports back here on a regular basis. The alumni tracker is a contact list of a firm's alumni. The recruiting connection tool helps a firm see what attorney has, connections into their firm, because that makes them a better recruitment, possibility. And those are the two latest tools added over here. And today we've added a new report, and it is the past merger report, and it works hand in hand, in conjunction, in a similar manner with our M&A tool. So I'm going to start by talking about the M&A tool for a minute, because it's going to come into play when we get to the past merger report. So the M&A tool was built to really kind of take the sweat, worry, and all that stuff out of looking at possible acquisition targets or possible merger candidates. You put in your primary firm who is shopping for an acquisition. You put in what they're looking for, what area of the country, what practice areas, firm size, minimum profit per partner, whatever it is you want to look for here. And then there will be many alternatives presented to you with one click. There, you can look at each individual firm and you can see which one looks the most appealing, or the one that thinks, suits your purposes to the best degree. And then you click to view the merger report. And now here is where this tool is different from a lot of the rest. We are using AI to predict the success rate of the merger. So with this particular combination, we say there's about a 61 projected retention success rate. That retention is really where we're looking to see if the merger was actually, valuable or not, if the merger was a success or not. Because all of those attorneys represent, little money makers, right? And if you lose all the attorneys after the merger, it really wasn't a successful merger. So how do we do that? We look at past similar mergers, firms of the approximate size. There's other details that go in and saying this is a similar merger to look at. And we use that as a pattern to see how we think this particular merger would go. And today, this report got a little bit of an upgrade, because today a new button has appeared. And that button is View Past Merger Report. So as you're working in that M&A tool and you're looking at all the past mergers that we used as sort of a template for what we think your approximate merger would look like, now you can go in and get more details about what this particular past merger looked like. So that merger had an 82% success rate. And you can look through all the different categories to see why it was, what their cultural differences, their locations, their practice areas, all of that good stuff. You're able to go through and see exactly what happened. Now, in the merger tool, everything is AI and projected, right? But this is very different. We know what happened. We saw it, and we know who joined, we know who left. So this is a much more sort of concrete tool. So if you go to the past merger report in the BI suite, and I think it's going to be available soon after this webinar today, here you can research prior mergers just to see how well they did and possibly why they succeeded or why they failed. What were the roadblocks in the way of this being a successful merger? Now, we plan on this report to get a few more enhancements in the upcoming weeks, like adding a date filter. So if you just want to see all the mergers in 2019, you can do that. And a firm grouping filter. There'll be a couple more things that we add. But let's see how this works today. And remember, we want to hear what you think this report needs as well. So as we're tinkering and refining, we want to know what you think it needs. We always want your input to make sure that these reports work the way that you need them to. So in this report, you can enter the primary firm or the target firm. It doesn't really matter. You can enter a headquarter location of your target firm. You can look by largest practice area at the target firm, firm size. You can even look at a minimum level of success. So here I put in Denton's, and I have a minimum success level of 53%. And these are the mergers that meet that criteria. So as I look at it, you can see there's lots of details here. The growth decline number, the attorney count number. Now this attorney count, this 688, was Denton's attorney count, not the firm that they merged into. And look, attorneys moved at signing 1. So that made me go, what? How can that be possible, right? So I'll tell you how it can be possible, because this merger occurred in 2013, and that was before we built our international database. So the only data that we had on Denton's was Denton's in the US. So that's why that number is 688. And you'll see all the others are much larger numbers, right? Because we had our international database at that time. The firm that they merged with had 1 person in the US. Everybody else was in that, was not in the US. So that's why this looks the way it is. And this is why I'm saying sometimes you have to say, what? But if you have a question you don't think you know the answer to, you can always reach out to us and we'll be able to, tell you why you're seeing what you're seeing. But it is good to remember, when we started building our product, we built things by location. We built New York first, and then 3 years later, 2 years later, we built DC, and then 2 years later, we built California, and then we built, so it was like a location by location by location. So you're not going to see a merger that happened in Chicago in 2011, probably, because we may not have had that database at that time. And it won't have every merger, but it will have a good amount of mergers, because we have to remember how we grew, and we can't show you information about data that we don't have. So whenever there's a gap that way, more than likely, that's going to be what the issue is. So here we've got the successful retention of that particular merger, the largest practice area of the target firm that that moved in, how many locations were covered, and all that good stuff. So once you pick a merger you want details on, you just click, and it will go and show you the full details. Here, I just wanted to show you in the last screen, we picked Denton's and we picked that level of success. You don't have to pick a firm. You can actually go in and just say, I just want to see every merger that had a minimum level of success. Then you're going to see multiple firms and multiple mergers, and then all the details that go along with that. You're also able, because we don't have that date filter in just yet, you're really able to see it grouped by year, because you can alpha sort on that merged on date. So you can set it as ascending or descending, so you can find the time period that you're looking for. We're going to help you refine that a little bit more in the future, but for right now, that's how you can get it done. You also can alpha sort on all your firms and targeted firms as well. So now when I click to view what a merger looked like, it's going to show me my primary firm as it looked at merger time. It's going to show me my target firm as it looked at merger time and give me the numbers, right? This has a really low success rate, right? 35%. Well, they had 306 attorneys at my target firm. And according to the chart below, 189 attorneys exited. And that's why that success score is so low. We base the success score using the formula that we use in our ROI report, the return on investment of lateral and entry-level hires. So that means we think after a merger, if that associate or counsel stays for 3 years, you've gotten your money's worth out of that deal, and we stop counting at that point. Partners, we count a bit longer. Partners, we grade on a 5-year success score. So here, while I see that 7 associates left in the 4th year, that exit does not impact this success score because we stop scoring associates after that 3rd year. But if they left, we're going to go ahead and put them in the graph. Now, this is a report where we know all the answers, right? So unlike the M&A report, which is a hypothesis, this is what we predict will happen. Here's what we know will happen. And that gives us the ability to drill down and to see those attorneys, right? So you can drill down on any of these attrition factors and see who left, when they left, all of their history is there, all of that information is there in that drill down for you. Because like I said, we know what happened, so we can show you. You don't get to do those drill downs in the M&A tool because that's just a projected outcome. But here we know, so we're going to share what we know. Like in the M&A tool, we're also going to show you at the time of merger what the primary firm and the target firm looked like, because this is going to help you decide if there were cultural issues that helped make this a success or failure as a merger, right? So you can look at gender diversity, you can look at ethnic diversity differences, you can look at different schools, how many went to a top 10 school, how many didn't. There is a big difference in this particular chart. You can look at JD years to see if there was a wide disparity, in that area. So we're going to give you all of those cultural cards. And again, I think there's some areas where you can drill down and see the attorneys. Then we also look at different locations. So you can look at the combined location, you can look at the primary firm as it looked like at the time of merger, and look at the target firm, what they looked like at the time of merger. And you're going to see what offices were combined, what offices were added. And that's going to give you a lot of details about this past merger. And the greatest thing is being able to drill down and see those attorneys and see who left. Our second report today is in Firmscape. So the last report that we added was our attorney entrance and exit report. If you aren't using this, boy, you really should, because this takes all the work out of figuring out, where did this attorney come from? And when he left my firm, where did he go to? There's lots of blood, sweat, and tears that we have decided to do for you by building this report. We know people used to be mired in spreadsheets and trying to figure out all of these things by searching through our status codes. It would take them hours to figure out, what they were looking for. So we did it for you right here. All you have to do is run this report to see that. And today we are adding the firm office open and closed report. So this is something, that we reported on in our year-end webinar in our white paper, right? So, and we've been waiting to come out with this report. So this will be an ongoing report. Of course, it's live. It's counting from henceforward. This report might also suffer from some of that really past missing data, right? So if offices opened in Chicago before we covered Chicago, they won't be in this list. But whatever we have been able to capture since we have been working and compiling this data, it's going to be here in these reports for you. So here I see the list of firms, I see the recently opened offices. I also see recently closed offices. So you get the yin and the yang right in one report. You get opened and you get closed. I think we're going to be adding a little button that lets you choose if you wish. I just want to see open offices or just want to see closed offices. And that will be coming with as a little tweak. All of the filters that you can use to run this report, we have the firm selection. I hope you guys are using the Leopard Law Firm Index Top 250. That is a wonderful new addition. We also have all top 50, 100, 200 under the top 200, and of course our own filter. You can use firm size, you can use regions. It defaults to the USA, but you can look in all regions or just look international. You can even put in a specific location. I want to see every single open office in California or every office in New York. You can do that as well, or a particular city, that's fine. You also can calendar in a date here. So if you want to see all the offices open in 2019, 2018, you can go in and do it, or get a big number from spanning several years. You can do that as well. And of course, you can pick a single firm. And why would you want to do that? Well, here we have this whole list grouped by firm, but you're also able to group it by location. So if you wanted to group it by location and put in one or two firms, you could do that, and you could get different details that way, or just put in a single firm that might have opened a number of offices, and then you'd have them all in one graph. There we go.
I'm just dropping in the white paper links and
good.
And a link to the index, the current index. Sorry.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So here, when I drill down, I am going to get information about those opened offices, right? So right now, let's say I drilled on a particular law firm. This particular law firm opened Des Moines, Iowa, Mobile, Alabama, Mountain View, California, West Des Moines, and Florence, Alabama. So this is where they opened offices. I'm going to show you the number of attorneys and the date it was opened, and if it closed, the end date too, like, if it closed or if it, the end date. So at the start, they had 67 attorneys, and the end date is today, it's present, and they have 62. So they've lost a few attorneys in that particular location already, right? Some have grown, some have shrunk, some have stayed the same. So that is a single look at one firm's opened offices. But now, if I group that same thing by location, I'm going to see multiple locations. And if I drill down on that recently opened offices number, I'm going to see multiple firms, right? I'll see multiple firms and the different offices that they opened. So it's yeah, and all the information is there. So I've got 3 practice areas of the top practice areas of partners at the firm, top specialties of partners at the firm, and we have their start date, and then this is sort of where they are today. So when this office opened, there was 1 person, now there's 3. So you're going to see the office sort of growing over time. And that is our new open and closed office report. I do hope to be able to include the actual attorney drill downs. So that's something that we're working on right now. And that means when you click on that 3, you'll be able to see those 3 attorneys. And I think we'll be able to produce that in just a few weeks. So that should be coming as well. And then of course you can also export that data as well. Are there any questions?
Doesn't appear to be. Just for those that are curious, so the office opening and close report is part of Firmscape. You have to have a Firmscape historical subscription to access it, and you'll be able to do the drill downs and all those types of filters that Laura talked about. And then obviously the merger and acquisition report focusing on the past mergers is part of Leopard BI. So with a subscription to that, you'd be able to access both. Looks like there might be a question. Can we also get a filter for practice specialty, i.e. I want to see opening in certain practice areas? I believe that's the question. So So I
Yeah,
guess
that's not there currently. I mean, we could search for maybe the top practice area in that
yeah,
office.
in that office. Yeah.
Yeah, in that particular office. Yeah, that's something we could look at. Mhm.
The other thing, obviously, when they were able to drill down into the actual attorneys, they'll see that information for the attorneys that are in that office, right? I guess they'll be able to see
Oh,
who,
yes.
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once that
So
drill
that
down
you'll
is,
easily be able to see, yeah, the practices at the firm. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, and I know we briefly touched on the merger and acquisition report, but there's so much information in there. We get a lot of questions about it. Folks that are looking to model out particular combination targets and acquisition targets or merger targets. I mean, there's something important to understand that we do have in our database over almost 4,200 law firms. So it's not just the top 200 firms that you're trying to see what combinations look like. Same thing with even the past combinations, going back as far as some of the firms being added. Obviously, that's going to be a caveat, but it's also important to note that when you're looking at utilizing that tool, it's good to identify for firms as small as 10 attorneys and up. So it's a good tool to identify potential acquisitions and mergers across the different spectrum.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we actually, before we built that M&A tool, we added hundreds of small firms to make sure that we had small targets for them to look at, because we knew they were looking for small acquisitions. We are also getting ready to add yet another batch of firms. These are not all small firms, but we have a large number of firms we're getting ready to add into the database this year. So the database is going to grow once more, and the universe is going to get much bigger once again.
Along those lines too, and Laura, maybe we could talk a little bit, but I think a lot of those firms are also outside the US, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that big, that new
There
batch?
are some outside the
Yeah.
US, but there are some inside as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question about when they go live. So the office opening and closing report is live right now, as of I believe. Customers are able to, again, with Firmscape historical subscription, you're able to log in now and access those, the office opening and closing report in Firmscape. The other one, I believe, it's still
Should be coming online almost any minute now. So it will just drop into that into the BI suite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions that anyone else has? I don't see any others right now, but obviously, if anyone does, you can always reach out to us. Our support team is always available at support@leopardsolutions.com. You can obviously reach out to Laura, myself, Laura at leopardsolutions.com, and Phil at leopardsolutions.com. And we look forward to the feedback and comments and questions, and we'll address those as they come.
Okay. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks everyone for taking some time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.